Hi, it's Heather. I'm very sick today, like usual. Today is no different than most days in the last 19 months since I came off benzodiazepine. Um, and I'm I'm very low energy, like when I made the last video for the GoFundMe. But I'm desperate to make an updated video just to stay in touch with people and try and explain to people why I'm still so sick and why the need is still so great for financial support to keep me going. Um, it's very hard to make videos like this. I know I look like hell right now. Um, it's painful to put yourself out there like that. I mean, I haven't even showered today or brushed my hair, and I can't because I need the little bit of energy that I have to make this video. It's more important. If I go and take a shower right now, I'm going to be wiped out and have to lay down for hours, and I won't get to this video. And that's pretty much what's been happening to me every day for the last 2+ months. Um, I know I need to make an update. I'm desperate for support, and yet I'm like too sick to even make a video. It's crazy. Um, so the challenge for me is to explain to people why I'm still so sick, because I know it's hard for people to understand. And I also know that people are just living their lives, even people who care about me. And, maybe I come into their mind once in a while. People they're living their lives. I get it. And people who are chronically ill and disenfranchised, like me, are not in we're not in your vision. We're not in the front of your brain every day. But at the same time, I also think there's a lack of understanding as to how somebody could be this sick for so long. And so I want to explain a little bit more about my situation, because when I put the GoFundMe up back in the fall, I didn't tell the full story. I didn't want to blow people's brains and overwhelm, because the story is massive, and I just wanted to make it digestible for people, but there's more to it. So it's been almost 19 months since I discontinued benzodiazepine, which was prescribed to me, just to recap, by my Lyme doctor. A series of doctors prescribed different benzodiazepines during my Lyme treatment. And, without any warning that the risk was so high if I stayed on it long term, and I had very severe insomnia. And so that's what it was prescribed for, to help me sleep. So I did a long tapers last year's, and I discontinued September 2014, and I'm still extremely sick. Why? Okay. So when I came off of benzodiazepine, about a month before I discontinued, I was down to around 1 milligram of Valium. I'd been tapering down from 20 milligrams. And when I got down under 5 milligrams, the symptoms increased significantly, and I was never sleeping. I mean, like ever. Like I would get a few hours maybe every fourth or fifth night, and I was still functioning. I was still working and trying to maintain my livelihood in this very ragged condition. And so I called my Lyme doctor, and I told him what was going on. And I said, I don't know how I'm going to fully discontinue, finish this taper and discontinue this drug. Like I can't get any sleep. And so he prescribed this other drug called Elavil. And I resisted. We went back and forth about it. And I said, I don't want anything else that my central nervous system is going to become dependent on. And I offered up some other suggestions that I had found on a support website called Benzo Buddies. I had looked for any information about other drugs that people might use to help them sleep. And he refused. And amitriptyline, which is the generic form of Elavil, was the only thing that he would offer me. And I was desperate, and I was uneducated at that point about benzodiazepine. So even though I was tapering off of it, I wasn't in any support groups. I had very limited information. I had read some of the Ashton manual, but I didn't know how severe the withdrawal is and how long it lasts, and how adding another drug, it just makes you sicker, because then your central nervous system becomes dependent on that drug. So then when you come off of benzodiazepine and your central nervous system is so incredibly weak and imbalanced, now you have another drug in your system that you have to come off of, and your weakened CNS from benzo, it's now that much harder for your CNS to reboot as you come off the other drug. So adding any other drugs when you're tapering a benzodiazepine is a very bad thing. It's the wrong move. And now that I'm in the support groups and I'm constantly in contact with people, a lot of people who are entering the support groups during a taper and looking for relief, looking for symptom management and asking about other drugs, I always say to them vehemently, no, do not add anything else, because it is just your hole's gonna get deeper. And that's what happened to me. So Elavil was added right before I came off, and it did help me sleep somewhat, I think. I was so sick at the time, it's hard to know. And then when I came off of benzodiazepine, I was alone in my apartment for weeks, going through severe acute withdrawal. It is truly unlike anything you could ever fathom. It is not like what you've seen in Train Spotting. It is not what you think of when you think of a heroin addict sweating it out and suffering in their bed for a few weeks. It's not that. I thought that's what it was going to be. It's not. It's on another level of human suffering. It is truly inhumane torture. And I was alone in my apartment, and I had this other drug in my cabinet that I hadn't taken in a very, very long time. It had also been prescribed by my Lyme doctor during Lyme treatment. It's called Flexeril, and it's a kind of a low-level muscle relaxer, and I had taken it on and off for muscle pain during Lyme, and I never had a problem, right? Or so I thought. I never took it long-term. Was I thought, very responsible with it. So here I am in excruciating pain. You know, one of the things that happens when you come off benzo is your muscles singe up, because lo and behold, GABA affects muscle tightness, muscle smoothness and contraction. So, and benzodiazepine is a GABA drug. So when you remove the drug and you're so deficient in GABA, your muscles singe up so incredibly tight. It's like an ALS type of symptom. It's excruciating. And so I took Flexeril every night to try and relax me and help me sleep. A low dose, like 5 milligrams. Eventually was taking 10 milligrams. And I was on that for about 3 weeks during the acute phase. And so here I am now. I'm off benzodiazepine, and these two other drugs have entered the picture. They just kind of slip right in because you're in such crisis. So I'm on Elavil and I'm on now Flexeril with no intention of staying on either one of them. I hate pharmaceuticals. I always have. It is the most ironic thing that this has happened to me. Anyway, so a friend of mine sees me in September 2014. It's my first outing. I could barely even drive or make it out, but I managed to go to a clinic in Morristown, and the woman who runs the clinic, she's known me for a while, and she's a Lyme survivor herself, and I trusted her. She says to me, you need to get help. You need to find a doctor that can help you. So clearly I looked a mess. I mean, I certainly felt sick in a way I'd never been before. And I knew that I was in really bad shape. But my understanding of any drug withdrawal, right, is that you just have to tough it out. You have to be really strong and go without the drug. And the longer you are without the drug, your body will recover, right? It's like a detox thing. That's not what happens with benzodiazepine, though. Benzodiazepine causes brain injury. It causes CNS disruption at such a level that it's not just, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks without the drug and you're suddenly better. The average withdrawal recovery period is 18 months. So here I am in this very, very sick state, and somebody I trust is saying, you need to find a doctor. So I start reaching out to anybody I know who can help me with this. The doctors who put me on this can't help me with this. I had reached out to multiple doctors when I was tapering off and asked for help, and nobody knew what to do. I mean, doctors are flying blind with this phenomenon of what's happening to people, this epidemic, truly. So I reach out to a Lyme contact, somebody who runs a very progressive, information-based Lyme nonprofit. She's knowledgeable. She knows a lot of people and doctors, and she refers me to a holistic psychiatrist, somebody I've never heard of. She says that she's seen him at seminars and he helps people discontinue these medications that a lot of chronically ill Lyme patients are given. So I go to his website, Holistic MD, and he seems like a good fit. I've never been to a psychiatrist before in my life. I always avoided antidepressants and, all this garbage. And here I am on my way to a psychiatrist. But my understanding of him is that he was more than a psychiatrist. He did IV treatment and help people with taper protocols. And so here a friend of mine drives me out there. I'm extremely sick. It's not just physical sickness. Now you have central nervous system and brain chaos. I was hallucinating. I couldn't even hold eye contact. I was in an absolute, it's indescribable. One day I'll have the words, but it's like you're tripping with the flu. And so I go to this doctor and he says to me, you have to go back on benzodiazepine. I said, no way. No way. I've been tapering this drug for 2.5 years. No, I'd rather die than go back. How can that be? What else can you offer me? So he puts me on this drug called phenobarbital. Never heard of it. I'm in crisis. I have no family with me. I have no advocate to the left or right of me, nobody to help me process the information. I can barely hold a pen to write my name, and I'm trusting him, and I'm desperate. And so I allow him to put me on phenobarbital. And he also says to me, you have to stay on Flexeril and Elavil. And in my, in that sick brain state that I was in, I kind of felt it was wrong, but again, you're so desperate and you're so trusting. And I said, why? And he said, well, now you're addicted to them. Wow. So I just handed my life over to this doctor, trusting that he was going to get me out of this mess. And he says, you're going to stabilize on phenobarbital, and then we'll taper you off the phenobarbital, and then we'll taper you off the other two. Okay. So I spent over $8,000 in October 2014. Luckily, I had some money in the bank from a real estate transaction, and I went there every week and I did IVs aggressively. Every treatment this doctor prescribed, I showed up and I did it. Physically, the torture that you go through, financially, and I kept saying to him, I'm going to run out of money. I'm alone. I have no support at all. I am my only source of income and livelihood. I can't keep throwing money at this. Can we please pace this? And he was not amenable to that. I asked for a payment plan because he's an out-of-network doctor. Insurance doesn't cover any of this. I mean, you're talking about $8,500 cash money, just direct drain from your bank account. There's no insurance input here at all. So he would say to me, I'm not a bank, Heather. I'm not a bank. So eventually I stopped going to him, one, because I couldn't, and two, because it wasn't helping me really. I was still so incredibly sick. So what he did to me, what he created, was a monstrous polydrug mess. It's far beyond benzodiazepine, because now you have this injured, fragile central nervous system that now has these other drugs in it. And if you're going to now taper off those drugs, your foundation is wobbly. So coming off those drugs is going to be very difficult. You're going to feel every cut that you make on them. And that is what has happened to me. So as soon as I was well enough, I started tapering, and I tapered Flexeril first. because I was under the care of a new doctor who advised me to taper that first. And thank God, I am off that drug. I came off of it in January. It took me 9 months to taper off this low level, muscle relaxer. It's not the case. Everybody's genetic chemistry is unique. These were, per the new doctor, these drugs were like awful for my genetic chemistry. They were contraindicated. First of all, Elavil and Flexeril are both tricyclic drugs, and you should never have anybody on two of them. If you look them up in a drug interaction checker, there's a high alert contraindication for combining them. And when I emailed the doctor who told me to stay on them, when I emailed him about that contraindication, he patient dumped me. When I found that concerning information and asked him about it, he kicked me out of his practice and he left me on phenobarbital, which is a very antiquated drug that most doctors, every doctor that I have talked to except for one wouldn't even touch me. They wouldn't even treat me. Inpatient facilities wouldn't even treat me. So he really screwed me bad. And I'm still tapering that drug. I'm currently tapering Elavil and need to taper off of phenobarbital. And I am extremely sick. And at a conservative, safe pace to protect my brain from permanent injury, it's going to take me 1 to 2 years. Truly, the safest pace would take me 2 years to now come off of these two drugs. This is like a tragedy that didn't need to happen, but it did. And so that's why I'm so sick. So even though I'm almost 19 months off benzodiazepine, I am in a deep polydrug hole and I continue to taper, and you're just sick as you taper. Every cut you feel, and you're more vulnerable to infections. Right now I have an upper respiratory infection. Anything that happens to your body, you're going to feel it like 10 to 20 times greater because your system is so compromised and weak. So I want to give up all the time, to be honest with you. I can't work. I can't even talk on the phone with people. I can't address admin or take care of very important things like taxes or bills. I mean, this affects you in ways that should never even be possible. We're messing with chemistry and people. We're creating mental illness, literally. The way the brain functions, the different lobes of the brain. We are creating mental disease with the drugs that are supposed to be helping. We have it all upside down and backwards. And if you don't believe that it's happening, look at me. Look at me. My life is, I have no life. I'm in my apartment and in my bed every single day. I mean, the depression doesn't even touch what I'm experiencing. You have lobotomizing symptoms. When I'm tapering Elavil, I mean, I'm like what's his name? Nicholson at the end of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I'm just staring at a wall every day. The world is untouchable and it's real and it's happening. So I have a long road ahead of me to dig out of this mess, and I need help. I mean, I'm at the point where on a daily basis, I want to give up, and I look for ways to give up. I mean, this is excruciating and very daunting. But I'm also a fighter, and people that know me well know how incredibly strong I am and how much I want to help people. And that's one of the ways that I hold on. I just help people. People reach out to me every day. I'm a member of multiple support groups for this bullshit that's happening to people, and I help other people, and that keeps me going. But here I am, and I can't even pay my rent, and I'm risking eviction, and I don't even have money for the supplements and the food that I need to support my body right now. This is not life. I'm not living. So if you can help me, please help me. I mean, that's where I'm at. That's what's happened to me. I have no family support. There's no magical fund that swoops in and rescues people. It's people that help other people. That's the truth. So it's incredibly difficult to ask people for help like this and to need it in a big way. But when I created the GoFundMe back in the fall, you'll see that my goal was, I think I have 25,000 as the goal. Like, that's what I knew I needed to truly survive this taper. And I need real help right now because it's a long, excruciating marathon, and I have no place else to go. So even if you can't give, if maybe you know somebody who's well off, has more money than they know what to do with, maybe you can get this to them. I'm really not the person that should be on the couch because I have so much wisdom and information and love in my heart and care for people. I really, really, really want to survive this and get back to living life and being Heather and being able to go full force. And I will not rest until these drugs are controlled and until awareness is spread wide about how dangerous they are. Because if this can happen to me, I mean, it's happening to so many people already. So this is why I'm still so sick. And I appreciate your help greatly. Thank you.